Hello, I'm Grant James from Sea2Soil. I'm really excited to introduce a range of podcasts from experts all over the world in the industry, where I talk to them about soil biology, I talk to them about soil microbial activity, and I talk about increasing the soil health. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have healthy soil, we don't have healthy crops. We're here in lovely Ross-on-Wye with Regen Ben, and we're going to ask him some questions. Ben, can you tell us about your experience with soil improvers?
There are many soil improvers I've tried that don't improve soil, so it's possibly worth mentioning that not everything is what you read on the tin and the case, and therefore had some quite disappointments spending an awful lot of money on promises. What I found is trying to keep things basic, and the two for me main things that improve soils and have the most increased effect on the fluffiness of soil, and that's what we're looking for, is Sea2Soil, fish, and seaweed. Obviously both out of the same place, so it's quite incredible. I guess that most people are sticking their soil in that ocean, and therefore the very things that live in there are consuming what's in there and bringing it back. The greatest thing for us is the massive protozoa increased numbers. This second or third trophic, depending on which way you look at trophics in soil, is the massive missing link for us or has been in our soil. The very thing that predate on bacteria and release all this nitrogen to our crops early in the season, where we'd normally be sticking on nitrogen. We put an awful lot of fish and protozoa tea on to kickstart that season and kickstart the whole system. And find it has just an enormous effect.
Yeah. So, tell us a bit more about your farming system here and what you're using the Sea2Soil on, and what sort of crops you're using.
It's quite a diverse farm here. We farm, obviously, like you said, regeneratively. So we have every type of livestock, from cows through sheep, goats, pigs, chickens, bees. So in the crop situations in particular, we're using it every time we plant a seed in the soil. It's absolutely essential for us to plant it in and around seed, to try and colonise as much life as we possibly can. And like I said, kickstart trophics. Essentially what we're trying to do is feed as many earthworms as we can. Earthworms love protozoa, and therefore if we can get protozoa eating bacteria, then we're essentially creating fertiliser factories as far as we're concerned. So it gets put on every cereal when we plant rye, barley and wheat here. It gets put on in and around oilseed rape. We use it on our potatoes. We don't use it on milling wheat. We're not allowed to as of yet. We've used it on sugar beet, and it had quite a great response on sugar beet. And we use it massively amongst our agroforestry and our trees. What we found actually is the increase in mycorrhizae associations around trees. And funny enough, where we've used fish around trees, they get left by voles, hares and deer. Wherever we farm trees, 25%, 30% losses, and even when you replace that, you still get the 25-30% loss. But where we're using it at the point of planting and then following it up, I think it's actually aiding the associations in the soil, and therefore the tree that you've taken out of a nursery and dumped in the soil is not screaming and creating really simple sugars, which all the said things are looking for. And therefore they settle down into the soil and into the system far quicker.
Wow, you're using it very, very varied all across the farm.
Yeah.
Have you been doing any soil tests and looked at yields and return on investment, anything like that?
We seem to get a bit obsessed with yield, and I'm more obsessed with making profit. So what we see is a direct replacement for fertiliser. We could do lots of cost-based analysis, but in actual fact, if I'm not using a fertiliser and using a fish, and the fish is replacing that, and the fertiliser is the cost it is at the moment, and the fish is a tenth of that cost, then it's a fairly simple piece of maths. I don't need a piece of paper and a pen to work that out.
And what would you tell a farmer who's just about to try Sea2Soil, who hasn't tried it yet?
I think the biggest thing on this whole regen journey is how you kickstart the system and spin the flywheel, so to speak, and certainly the use of fish is a huge advantage to be able to use it. And I was chatting to you earlier about the fact that, you know, for centuries we used fish and bone meal. Yeah. The very fact that we're returning, I think if we were having this conversation to my grandfather, he'd wonder why we're having the conversation. He'd be like, well, that's a given, isn't it? That the use of fish in agricultural cropping and as a fertiliser has been known, I think, since around Plato from the work I've read and things, and they've always been highly valued and used there. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It's part of a farming system and should be part of a natural farming system. And I love the fact it's a waste product that we're converting from waste wherever we can do this. I mean, this whole circular economy thing is so important, of taking a waste product and actually making massive benefits to it. So for me, if somebody's looking to improve their soil and add what they possibly can, then Sea2Soil is an essential part of that programme.